5:48, and it's May the 29th. The Charter Review Commission meeting is now in session. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's take a quick, let's see if we, who's present. We have Andrew Caranco, who is absent. We have Roque Vela, who is not with us and asked to be excused. We have Dr. Maria Reyes, who is absent and asked to be excused. We have Christy Hale, who is absent and asked to be excused. We have myself, Alfonso Ornelas, I am present. Cliff Killam, who is absent. And we have Jack Byam. And we have Henry Souvenet. And we have Tanya Benavides. We do not have a quorum right now. As such, let us just discuss what we have before us and no action to be taken.
So what is the legend here? So red means it was put in. What does yellow mean? Or
yellow was just kind of I wanted to. It's either something I've changed or something we weren't sure about, to just make sure that some eyes were on that. Yeah.
Yes, for clarification.
Yeah.
Looks like
Yeah.
Mr. Walker.
If we put something in there that.
and a cross out is a cross out.
Correct.
Okay. So then it's what we discussed yesterday about the 4 districts. 2 city council members from each of the 4 districts, respectively, whenever the term of city council is used in this charter refers to a member of city council other than the mayor, right? And then we added that, we kept that change that was made earlier about maintaining the permanent residence in the district for which they 180 days. Yeah.
This section, section 2.01B, this is where eventually we want to add in the language about voter registration. Is that right, Tanya?
That's the place. So I was just noting that the language was added on permanent residence, but not specific to voter registration.
So I don't recall, remind me a little bit about that just so that we can.
We thought it was more likely if we put voter registration as the criteria, that
Okay.
that would be a better sign that they actually live in the district.
Oh, okay, they are registered to vote, okay.
Than where they claim their residence is, because you can claim your homestead is wherever.
I see. Must maintain. So what will they will live? How did we suggest that would be worded?
We could just add, must maintain their permanent residence in the city and their voter registration within the district from which they are elected throughout their term of office.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be clear enough.
That'd be perfect.
Right, yeah.
And simple, yeah.
Which we had already voted on
Yeah.
Right.
in the previous meeting.
Oh, that had already been voted on,
Yes,
so
that had
it was
already
just
been
left
voted
out.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then the in 2.01C, that's something action we took quite a bit earlier.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. we were clear when we talked about, and I think this is probably state law. Any changes here will not affect sitting elected officials. Is that correct? Right.
That was our design, and that's why we put enough time that it can't affect anybody right now in office. If you had to guess, guys, and let's say all of these are presented, which do you think would be the hardest sell to city council?
I think it's going to be the district seats.
I do too. And how do we get past that? I think the natural instinct is to pull out guns and go, whoa, 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 we're not taking from you guys. You just said it's going to be, it's a very possessive, and I don't know why there's that reflex.
I think, you know, we talked about maybe 2 to 3 people speaking on the issue and speaking in short spurt of time so that their eyes don't glaze over. And I think that the thought behind it, first of all, is to explain a little bit of background that this is not the first time this comes before council. It was on a charter revision petition, or a few years back. It lost by about 5% of the vote, but this is perhaps a compromise to what was put before the voter prior to this, where in fact there was a reduction in the number. They were at-large districts, and this proposal does not have an at-large district. It simply makes a district slightly larger for the purpose of having a feel of a better representation of the city's general goals, and not a narrow goal. And I'd have to think about how that's worded. I think that's a short discussion. I don't know what other things could be said. It's not out of line in terms of the number of citizens represented. It's not out of line with other municipalities.
Everyone is represented by now.
And everybody's
two
represented
instead
by
of just
2
one.
instead of 1.
I think that's a selling point.
Yeah, I like it. Maybe it's going to have a synergistic effect. We're going to be able to broaden the. So, you did not like, and rightfully so, when I used the at large. That's a very lazy way to explain it, but I know that's going to be kicked up there. Oh, so you're saying, well, in a way, you just meant those 2, but I know that's you didn't like that word being used. And so that's why, if it was up to me, if this was, you're going to present, you sell it better, and you're right. Maybe that's not the route you want them thinking, because maybe some people could have that knee-jerk, wait, hang on, we've always fought at large, or this is the North taking over the South, or this is,
And more people can be elected from the North and the South, because more people may participate. So that's why at large sometimes it's looked at suspiciously.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I saw why.
So the compromise does not create any at-large districts.
Can I ask you all a question? Why not then make it 4 districts, and good, we got rid of half the staff, and
they make it 4 districts and 4 council people?
Yes, I'm just playing devil's advocate. What's to go the other way?
The idea was not to dilute the number of reduce the number of council people.
Okay, good answer. There you go.
I think the focus here, I think that the focus here is not to have fewer elected officials, nor is the focus to have an at-large council elected officials, because the mayor is the only at-large person. The focus here is to create a district whose size moves beyond just a narrow limit of that section, and it moves closer to a view of the city's general needs. Because one of the comments that comes up very so often is that, and you have to be careful how you say it, because I don't want to use the word provincial, but that's the thought is that the council people see these as mini
Fiefdoms.
cities. Yeah, fiefdoms, right, exactly.
Which isn't wrong. I'll play devil's advocate. The other side, and also each district though is different. Downtown can get access to funding from the federal, where the north cannot. So if you want the same, you don't have the same access to those special funds.
It's not as much as access to funds, but a view of the city as a whole. When you narrow the view, it becomes more of a neighborhood view, for example, of city needs, rather than a regional view of city needs. And a quadrant of the city is significant in size, so you're looking at the needs of that fourth quadrant rather than an eighth of the city. And whereas that might sound like not much, but given the territory of Laredo, it becomes a larger territory that you're trying to that you're representing.
I also don't think that last point, Mr. Ornelas, will
Call
come
him
up.
Boyer, please. We're
Boyer.
Yeah.
I don't think that point will come up because in the last council meeting, the mayor made a motion to have resolutions by council for any grants that the city is seeking,
But
regardless
that
of.
was strange. Yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
well, we can have a whole other conversation about that. But
Okay.
that is the sentiment, right, that some folks on council share. So if those folks come back with that as a rebuttal, well then we have standing to say, well, these are also conversations that are already happening that are not being productive, are leading to more tensions, but we're trying to bring an environment where there will naturally be more collaboration.
I like that, an environment where there will naturally be more collaboration.
A voter in a larger district geographically has to think about a greater percentage of the city's space and needs than does a voter who lives in a more narrow section of town. So not only is the thinking of the elected official more collaborative, more expanded, so is the thinking of the voter.
Right, I'm devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I don't like change. What's wrong with you? Better the devil you know than and this is scary. Guys, we've already cut deals. Do you know why the LEA is here? Why is it not in other area towns? There's big sporting development coming up. Where do you think that's gonna go? Where do y'all? So now you're gonna play with different demands like that.
So that's when I pull out the quote by John F. Kennedy and say,
Oh, that is a great quote, though,
change
Henry. I
is
like
the
that.
law of life. Those who look only to the past and the present are certain to
Absolutely.
miss the future.
Absolutely, I love it.
See? So,
Oh, Henry.
there's my response to your question.
Yeah, well, go get your tags, sir. Change your tags and then talk to me about change. No, come on, that was not necessary. That was uncalled for by me. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to.
That was expected of a fellow St. Aug.
Oh, yes, that's the Salesians. That's the. Well, that's funny. Henry.
That's what the Catholic school kids do
Yes.
to each other.
Yes. It means we like each other. Okay, God, y'all got me on that one. What else can I throw shade on that? We're going to keep the staff, so the staff doesn't change. They're going to be staggered, right? That's the other thing. Within those districts, the plan is also to have them staggered. So every 2 years, one comes up. So
For the
every
transition period.
district will have a city council election every 2 years.
So-
that's not a bad thing.
My response.
Yes, sir, Mr.
to-
Schooling.
a response to those questions, although that would be ideal, I would avoid answering any in particular, like where will it begin? How will they be? that's up to staff, that's up to council and staff.
To implement.
To implement.
Okay.
And even that would be up to them, because if we start answering some of the questions and not other questions.
Let's do the math. Wait, I'm the guy there, it's my district, though he gets 2 years and then
Yeah.
has to be forced to an election.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And that way, the recommendation here that we like to put before the voter to give them an opportunity to vote on, to say whether they like it or not, is making the districts larger, but not reducing the number of council people. And as a matter of fact, if there's a gain, the gain is that every citizen will now have 2 council people instead of 1 council person to represent them.
Yeah, there's 2 calls I can call.
Right.
at
Exactly.
this, yeah, my trash wasn't picked up.
And the idea, but those
Barking dog,
details
yeah.
about how to divvy it and all of this, that's why I put in the back. And I think that just a standard answer will be that the city council and mayor will work with the city manager to set a schedule in district territory for redistricting and rules that may apply to the elections.
Excellent.
That's not.
Marry
that's-
that to Miss Benavides is, I love that too.
Yeah.
'Cause that really is. Because remember, it's just, sometimes change, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
No, you're taking something from me, hang on.
I like that, because what would we say, that's a very good point. If you were to argue that something is being taken away, what is being taken away? It's a question I have.
Oh, it's my fiefdom. I built this one up. I got my foot into a board, and it's a table of 5. We have a lot of muscle there. So I hit beyond the per capita. I have that kind of influence, Henry. That's who I am. That's scary.
So
Who is that guy?
So we're taking away.
You're equalizing. You're making it.
You're making them share.
Yes.
Where before they didn't have to share.
Yes, and it's harder for you to set up those. I worry though, because in redistricting it was kind of hard because there are those districts that are landlocked. You cannot head south. You've got the river, that's a hard line. And we know where the growth are, and we leave those kind of open. But I guess that's addressed every 10 years when we do the redistricting and the districts re-evaluated so the numbers come back into line.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's good.
Well, I would imagine that the city would have to address the issue if it annexed. Because I'm not sure, and maybe city staff has been through this, but if you annex property between censuses, then those people, those citizens are now citizens of the city. So depending on the amount of the annexation, the number of people in the annexation, the district may or may not stay the same size, but the district might change size, right?
Right. Yes. We almost touched that because when a city goes bankrupt, it goes up to the state of Texas. State of Texas then sometimes forces it to its neighbors. Okay, you're now going to. I don't think anybody's going to go belly up. I don't think the other cities here, if you look at El Cenizo and they're not going to be annexed. They're going to stand their ground. They're doing fine. I don't see us, taking where, okay, now we brought those guys in and we opened up a big flood.
Yeah, it would be a large flood, right?
It would have to be that new development on I-35, and it would have to be like the old Del Mar. Remember when they had their own water district
Right.
and then
Right.
they were finally.
And Del Mar used to be a suburb and not within the city limits, but that was so long ago. But I understand that this development intends to incorporate immediately. So it'll be a municipality.
Absolutely, and that's its big sell.
Yeah.
We're gonna have everything except the taxes the Laredo has. Come live out here. Okay. Well, you passed my test. I can't even think what else to come.
I think
Well.
you helped in this respect that we do need to rethink, we need to address perceived losses. And I don't know that we've turned the loss of power neutralized it, because no one's going to say I'm going to lose power.
Right.
Exactly.
But how do you neutralize? In a sense, the answer is yeah, but that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But
Henry, you opened up a, I'm sorry,
No,
go
you
ahead,
go ahead.
Jack.
You go ahead.
You opened up a weird dynamic because me and Jack have one district, right? And we don't like each other. We have our discretionary funds. But now
But you still
I
do.
have to spend in towards his neighborhood because there's not really a Boyer neighborhood, so instead it forces us to collaborate and say, let's put it together and we're in a pool and do this, or if we fight, we just neutralized each other, you know. You're gonna go against, I'm gonna go 4, and our district got a 0 sum out of that. I see it forcing.
But and thank you for saying that, because the answer to that is that dynamic already exists, and we see it play out on city council, and this is what the citizen is bothered by. The
Okay.
fact that one council district does gotchas with another council district, they neutralize each other. That's exactly what the idea of growing the district is supposed to be moving away from.
Yeah.
The small thought, the thought of a smaller district and thinking more of a larger district and the needs of the district at large. But so in a sense, the answer to that question that you posed is that it would not create a new, that's not a new dynamic, that's a dynamic that exists. What we're expecting is that the size of the district will move towards, will move away from that dynamic, not towards that dynamic. Just as senators in the state of Texas, our U.S. senators tend to work together for the better of the state. They may not always agree on everything. They may not always get along, but they cooperate with each other for the betterment of the state of Texas. We would imagine that the two people elected, we would hope that the people elected from the district, hopefully they're friends, but if they're not, they at least are working towards the betterment of the district. You know, and we see it play out on a larger scale, state by state by state by state.
It's going to make a weird dynamic. You'll see if you look. You hold your discretionary funds close to election year. You really hit it. You know,
Yeah.
let there be fire hydrants for everybody on that ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Every week during election year, I'm gonna get free advertising to put it out there. Now, if you're staggering in, I have to get on with Jack. Okay, he just came in. He's gonna hold his cards. So at that 2-year mark, I'm gonna be the one that's doing all that for the district because I want to be reelected. He might not want to use his funds and save it for. And you know that's why you've seen people take office and wow, they have a full checkbook, or the opposite. I could leave you with a negative bank account, and here you go, Henry. Good luck with the district. Boy, you gave away everything.
You know, and again, that's a dynamic that already exists. So, if anything, it's an argument why we shouldn't stay the same.
Well, and I also think we're thinking about inevitable change and how, even though we're no longer one of the fastest growing cities in America, we're still growing relatively fast.
Okay.
And we'll continue to grow. And so one of, I think, the major pitfalls, for example, when you compare our council manager form of government to San Antonio also has a council manager, but obviously their population is 4 or 5 times larger. They each have full staffed offices. City council already shares an assistant. 2 members have to share an assistant, whom arguably none of their districts have anything to do with the other. So those staffing dynamics could also be helpful in this situation. And if there ever was a future where Laredo City Council could have full staffed offices, it would be much easier to fill 4 district offices than 8 district offices.
I like that. I did not understand. You've said this 3 times already, and I finally understand what you're saying. That makes total sense. Exactly. Your staffing, to be fully staffed, you fill 4 district offices rather than 8, which is much more expensive. And, you know, but you're saying already they share one staff?
They share an assistant.
They share an assistant, which, by the way, you know, until the 1990s, San Antonio was still sharing an assistant between 2 council people, and they were already 3 times the size. Yeah. But they were not considered full-time. The thing is that it's a city manager form of government.
Right.
So they thought the idea is to think of yourself more as a board than as a department head or what, you know, an employee.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what you're saying on that. I'm gonna put together a few talking points.
So when we present this before council, it makes sense, I think, Henry, for you to take the lead on this issue. Are you comfortable with that?
I don't know to take the lead, but I'll be one of the people that would speak, certainly.
Yeah.
I think this is a dynamic.
I'm gonna err on the side of safety. I don't want that to be perceived as we are taking action, even how we're gonna present it. I know.
Got it.
And again, because I wouldn't want anyone to question, it came from a good place. It would make sense for us to.
Yeah, that's the proposition I put on the table, that it would make sense. Not that we're taking action.
But I understand.
But we understand your need for.
That's all I do, and I see walking quorums in my sleep and all over the place. It's a bad federal habit now I have, so. Okay,
So fine, I think we've talked this section, that the first page. Do we want to go through the rest of it, just to review it?
yes.
Why not? We made the trip here.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I might then have to bump out just for a little bit. I just have to make another board appearance.
Yes, certainly.
But I don't want it to hinder. I might just go for you. There's other, right? I could do a video from over there, whatever, just.
From where? From.
If I'm over there, here in the same floor, but just stay inside the administrative offices over there, or.
You use
What do
another
you
room
call-
to do a video call.
Yeah, I just, you might hear some noise, but that's what I would do. I just, okay, I'm checked in or whatever, so I could not miss this meeting.
Yeah.
Let's see if I could set up something like that.
But, Mr. Chairman, but also, we don't
Yes, sir.
have quorum, and so we understand that you have other obligations. It's not as if you're leaving a meeting that's met quorum. So if that meeting is important, we'll understand ourselves.
We won't hold it against you.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are amazing.
We'll promise-
Technically, we're gonna meet then right before.
We can meet maybe half hour before the council meeting.
There we go.
Yeah. And we'll just make sure we post, right? We'll have to post that, right?
Yeah. Because we are going to be together at that point.
Mhm.
That would be the
Yep.
best.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be hard for us to do it. I think we'll be able to handle it.
I agree.
Everyone feels positive. You've been here before, Mr. Souvenir. Is this the right feeling we're
Yep.
supposed to have right about here? This feels about right to you?
It does.
I've never done this before, Henry. My dad did. I did it, you know. So.
I've never done the charter review. I've never. Done
Yes, I've never. I thought you
The
were,
charter-
and also
no,
with the petition.
The petition did, right. I was not on the Charter Review Commission. I was on the citizens that were outraged to be left out of the process.
Did you see when the Charter Revision Committee presented back then?
No, I did not.
And did they
Because
come
nothing-
close to what you guys were? No, it was not even the same galaxy.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It was like citizens coming in to speak to us and not being heard. Heard but not heard.
Should we go on then and continue to just kind of review what
Yes.
strikes us?
Yeah.
I think at the bottom of page 2 and the top of page 3,
Right.
these these proposals about administrative leave, they beg the question of what happens after those 30 days. Can council do it a second time? Can they do it indefinitely until the issue makes its way through the courts? And how do we square this with the idea that in American law, you're innocent until proven guilty? I like the idea that council members, or council as a whole, can police its members for certain kinds of actions worthy of arrest or worthy of indictment. I like the idea. It just seems a little bit incomplete, or it raises a few more questions that it doesn't solve or that it doesn't answer.
I think at that point, on the question of for how long can this go on,
Yeah.
council members already cannot miss more than 6 meetings. So, in a 12-month period, without being excused by council, so that's 3 months, right? So, assuming that happens 3 times over, that would be the cap.
Right, but that would need to be 3 separate arrests?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Who created this one? Or who
I
suggested?
don't recall being
I-
present at that meeting.
I think these and the following sections about addressing complaints were quite important to Dr. Reyes. She was, if I remember correctly, because I remember one of her consistent complaints was that there's no teeth in any of the disciplinary language in the charter.
Well, let me point out that it also, as vague as it is, it doesn't prohibit the mayor, city council from voting again to put someone on administrative leave for an additional 30 days.
It does or does not prohibit?
It does not.
That's right, it does not prohibit that. They could do that there's nothing
that
that
says-
says that they can't do it indefinitely.
Yes, it would pay for 30 days, but they can only do this once.
Right, there's no
Or,
limit.
no.
Right.
So if they're so out, if something is not moving forward or whatever, and doesn't feel, the council feels someone is causing a problem rather than being helpful to the situation, then they can just turn around and do this for an additional 30 days.
Yeah, there's no language that prevents that, yeah,
Right.
so maybe that's totally possible. Administrative leave means, at the very least, they're not attending meetings as a council person, right?
Mhm.
I suppose they could still come as an audience member,
Right.
but they couldn't vote,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
They couldn't help to participate in the action making.
I had a question on page 9, section 6.12, because
Yeah.
there was some language in blue that,
Yes,
that I think was meant for clarification, so.
correct. It's whether that will be, this is limiting the total debt. And I believe it's, let's see here, on borrowing and, because it states separately shall be limited to 10% of the total assessed valuation of the city.
Yeah.
But what is total debt referred to? Total
Yeah.
debt of the city or?
And I
So-
think that's a good question because
Good question.
that's the way that it's already written in the charter.
What is the language that's there already?
It's the total overall outstanding debt shall be limited to 10% of the total assessed valuation of the city.
And so what's the question? What's the definition of debt?
Yeah.
And that's a question that staff has.
Correct.
Oh, okay, great, okay.
Or the intent there.
But that sentence is already in the charter.
Correct.
Okay. So the suggestion here is that maybe we should be defining debt.
So the city can go into debt for purposes other than providing discretionary funds to council members, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So in the first paragraph with the yellow highlighting, we have the notion of combined total debt. And in the sentence that's already in the charter, following that paragraph, we have, again, the notion of total overall outstanding debt. And does that debt include I guess it would include the debt taken on to provide for discretionary funds.
Yes, but I guess the question is what else does it include, right?
Yeah, that's the question.
What other kinds of debt? In other words, debt that the city goes into for infrastructure,
Yeah, something like that.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what comes to mind more often than not,
Right.
is the kind of debt the city goes into.
We're on page 9, talking about the
And I guess
minimum
it
debt.
came up because the change limits it to discretionary funds, but what's already in existence
Mm-hmm.
is this language which seems to be total debt of the city, the way I interpret it, but we have something that they kind of look like they're referring to the same thing. So are we creating a little bit of ambiguity there?
That's a good question.
The easiest fix for you to do is once this pass, then you go 1 million from this point. It's like not it starting now. That's what
Well,
you're
I think-
technically saying.
well, we're-
If you're trying to do a limit, are we talking about that?
We're talking about the other line.
Oh.
The one in the blue.
About the 10%.
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
The total overall
The
outstanding
outstanding
debt.
debt for the city, should we clarify what intended by debt? Yeah, so we then, why do we do this? I forgot. Okay.
So we didn't do what's in blue or that sentence there. That's already in the charter.
Yeah.
But we did what's in yellow. But the question is, when we're talking about total debt in the section in yellow, correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly, are we talking about the total debt that's intended in the next paragraph?
Correct.
So in terms of the assessed value. There's no way that could be.
No.
The 10% of the total assessed valuation of the city is through the roof, my friend.
Yeah.
If Webb County's at 50 billion, now let's go backwards to the
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
Minimum, would you say, is 25 billion? So you do 10% of that? Yeah, you're way past 1 million. So that's not gonna affect that.
And I'm not following any, this.
The 1 million is not 10% of the assessed value of the city, because the assessed value is so far above it, those do not jive. So if we put those two to mean either 1 million or the opposite, we're such a poor city that it's a million aspirational, but Boyerville, it's really only worth $100 bucks, and 10% we could borrow is only $10,
So you're
even though
saying
we
there-
put the million.
So you're saying there shouldn't be any confusion?
No, and you could then strike out what's in blue and say we want to strike that out.
Well, what's in blue is a comment by the city staff, is a question by
Right.
city staff, except for the word debt.
And I get it
Right.
because we made it look like what's the intended value of the city? Are we putting it at $1 million? I thought our thing was $1 million, because if we're looking at 10%, because we're trying to say we don't want for the city to get more in debt than 10% of its valuation for discretionary funds. No, our value is so much higher. That's not going to be the speed trap. The speed trap will be the $1 million limit. Does that make sense, Henry? It's so big.
Well,
The
no,
valuation.
the question really is to city staff.
Well,
Does that, what he just
I-
said,
I think just looking at this carefully, what is in yellow should have been at the end. Should have been at the end instead over here where it's at, because we're talking
Going
about,
from the small
yes,
to-
about the 10%, the total debt shall be limited to 10% of the total asset valuation. That should be over here after the way it is. And what you all discussed about the discretionary funds, that should be a separate wording after this.
Yes, not
makes-
dealing with
Correct.
that
Very
first top
logical.
limit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I was. That's for me was
Yeah.
was causing a question for me whether your intent creates. I know the intent of the yellow, and I kind of separately from
Instead of the, however, you'd put another paragraph, say furthermore, kind
Yes.
of a
Yes.
further clarification.
And I think that's what was.
You need to change the,
see,
oh,
if you look at the chart, if you look at it now,
TSA will tackle them.
yeah, if you see it now, I'm going to show you 6.12
Yes.
borrowing, and literally it's 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And it says, the council shall have the power, except as prohibited by law, to borrow money by whatever method may be deemed to be in the public interest, period. And so that's what you have here. That's why it's not highlighted or anything. And then the second sentence is, the total overall outstanding debt shall be limited to 10% of the total assessed valuation of the city,
That's.
period.
Yes. Then,
Uh,
what's highlighted is what you all wanted.
Right.
After that.
So we could add that highlighted section as a further
Forward.
clarification.
And I think that's the way you all intended it when you all voted.
Yes. So, where it is, it's not a matter of an action needing to be taken. It's not action.
Yeah.
Because what we're saying is that we put this yellow part to modify, so to speak, modify that first sentence, when actually it's modifying the second sentence.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not in the right place.
Yeah.
And that we didn't change anything.
Boyer, since you'd like to play devil's advocate.
Yes, sir. I do love it. That is my forte, sir.
How do you think our proposal that the mayor can vote in any regular vote will go down?
You're getting him more involved now. You got rid of, God, I can't tell you, Jack, how nice that was when you wanted to dance. And, I wanted to vote. You know I did, Jack. It wasn't a tie. You know, I got you, Jack. It's just, Did I make enough noises? Okay. Now it's like, no, you had to. You're considered one of them. You should have. That's a big dynamic change.
I mean, they could
The
still
bigger
abstain.
one, though, is still the 6, because in a lot of them, you can now get me. I'm seeing a little bit more. If my gut's telling me, council's now getting a little bit more stronger there. They're going to be acting together. How will
When you say council, are you referring to the districts?
members of the yes,
Not including the mayor?
right? And now, if you see where our changes are going, if you're asking me, how is he going to react to how will he see something? Is this a threat to me? I'm still mayor. I get ribbon cutting. Yes, okay. I'm still the figurehead. I get to still set the agenda, right? Right. I'm going to do that's a big deal for me. I get to say what goes first. And Henry, we never get to your stuff. It's weird. We always run out of time. That luck again. I love that. Yeah, you're forcing me now to vote.
Well, they could still abstain.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, but
though.
you don't have the excuse
That
now.
just-
Now,
Right.
it becomes more critical.
And that's why whoever makes that part of the presentation, I think, needs to build the case for the commission felt that the citizens, if the citizens take the time to vote for a mayor, we want a mayor who is voting on issues, and we can see where the mayor is voting on issues,
Yeah.
and not hear how he thinks he might have voted on an issue. You know, we want to see an active mayor participate, because after all, he's the only at-large position we have.
You always forget about municipal court, Henry.
City,
Yeah, city goes. The mayor and municipal court are the only ones that go citywide, so he gets this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, of the city council.
Okay.
We have to word that correctly. So
Again,
that we don't.
political
so that I don't
egos are very.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
You're absolutely right. That's a
you forgot about the third house.
Yeah. I agree.
Thank you, Henry. I
Yeah.
appreciate these talk.
No. We need to remember when we're wording this.
I think what Henry's saying, it's true. I think the community does want that. Right or wrong, I would prefer do something, Jack. I want to see where you stand on
As
this.
citizens, we'd like to see our mayor take a position
Okay.
and not.
Well, the mayor is in a position already to show leadership
Yes.
through his voting,
Right.
which he can't really do hamstrung by the charter
Right.
at the moment.
Yep.
Is there also a way to tie this vote that, well, the mayor, because yes, the mayor can technically already vote, and if you ask Pete Sines, he will tell you the mayor could have been voting this whole time.
Yeah, and he would do it before. He'd go, before, this is where I stand, and you could always do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're-
But is there a way that we can tie this new makeup of 4 districts to justify this is also why the mayor should exercise his vote more, so that we don't create a situation where 2 or 3 districts are the
Yeah.
ones dictating what happens?
I would love to steal from your synergism, Tanya, how you did for that one. So that is a good, if somehow you could tie it, this is not transparency. What would we say? What would be your power right now as city? If I was city mayor, this is how I would flex, okay? Mine is team building. I'm the one, come on, Jack, it's for the greater good of the city. Hey, Tanya, put some on, we're gonna put the park close to you. You shouldn't be fighting us. Mario, come on, Mario, you're not even entitled to, and now you're gonna be part of, so you do that team building, the setting the agendas, very important. And you go, really say, yes, very much, and And again, you're the cheerleader for the city, so you got access to the media and to the public court. You could try stuff even beforehand. I don't know where they're going with this, but I really hope we're advancing transportation. Oh, yes, Boyer, that is correct. And anyone that opposes me on that is perceived anti-transportation, so you can set things up like that. You're going to be more active, and that's a good thing. So how do you, give me a good word, give me something, Tanya, for, no, we're giving you the chance to excel. It's an opportunity to how do we do it? To show your, it's not, it's.
Yeah, you're getting at something, because the mayor helps set the vision for the city.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is an opportunity
We're
to
clearing
act
your
on that
voice,
vision.
that's right, we are. Your voice will now be heard even more. It has to be heard.
As a voter, right?
Yeah. Do you guys think how do you think the dynamic's gonna play when it's presented to city council? Do you do this as a Sally agreement where it's voted everything up or down, you either take everything or not? Do you break it in and give them an opportunity, okay, you all digest Article 2? Are you all in favor of these changes for Article 2, yea or nay? Do you all have any idea, what do you all envision for it to be presented?
I think the vision here is that we present these with comments on certain here's the package for you to review and consider. Here are our comments on selected sections of the changes that we've recommended.
Because in theory, they could say, I liked everything except your Article 2 or let's pick on municipal court. Section 5, everything but municipal court is thrown out the window.
They could.
Also, it's hard to keep the focus for everything. If you ask me remember what's more important? I'm an attorney. I love definition. It gives clarity to the city attorney where this is the boundary. You've now crossed it. To me, that is incredible.
That's why I think you talk on certain things. So.
But do you let them then digest everything, or do you make them vote on that? Because let's say just on
then and there.
Yes.
I don't.
To piecemeal it.
I think this is the commission turning in its report. It's not the commission. It's not the commission asking them to take action immediately. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, does it have to be read multiple times?
Mario, because let's say that you're saying, because now the dynamic comes in. Okay, we loved everything. Y'all had every word that was perfect. Now we wanted to take root. Okay, well, you have to still have 2 readings, right?
Yes.
So there's not a lot of time left before getting all that done. So we expect them to not only hear the report, but yay or nay it, not just, okay, now we're going to go over it, or...
Yeah, I don't know.
They could act like the Supreme Court does and just hear the arguments and then decide later. That's, I mean, we can't compel them to vote right there.
No, we can't. But you try and make it so at least there is some victories, or is this a all or not victory situation?
And that's why
they're having a workshop to review what you propose. I mean, you'll make your presentation on June 10th.
Okay.
Present it, and then they're going to have a workshop.
Following June 10th at some later date?
Yes. The city manager has already mentioned to the city council that there is a workshop that's going to be scheduled between mid-June and mid-July.
Okay.
Depending
for this purpose.
Yes, depending
Mid-June, mid-July.
Depending when they get a
Okay.
quorum for this.
Got it.
Yes.
So that's why I think this is our opportunity to present the package and then to speak up on those points that we think are worth highlighting. Maybe municipal judge, maybe the charter, the districts, whatever else.
Because, Henry, I don't like anything that this committee does. So all I need to do is run that clock out. I'm the contrary
Yeah.
one.
Well,
So maybe it's
And I
because,
believe this is what happened the last time.
know your enemy, know yourself. You don't have to
Right.
fear a
Right.
thousand battles. This is what it is. This is
So
your art of
then,
war.
what we could do is, well, obviously, if they're going to go through everything anyway, present everything as it is,
Right.
we can pull out the parts where we think we have talking points that can support, and then pause for questions, right? Put it on them, right? If they choose to not respond or ask questions in that moment, well, then that's not on us, right? But
I
at
know,
least we
I'm
need the
gonna try
space
to
for
make
it.
that into an advantage. I take it by your silence and that you're in agreement with me, Visitor. Kinda, you see what I'm doing now? I'm putting the lead,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna note, I think
Henry, do you think the public will, when they see this, because then it goes out there, maybe they'll start talking about it,
Yeah.
and that's always when you start then getting a
Yeah.
phone call or, yeah.
yeah. Well,
Ideal world.
I suspect that's when we'll hear from a council member saying, I've heard from my constituents and this is why I'm voting, I'm not gonna support X or I'm not gonna support Y, the heard from my constituents.
Yeah, and then you get the true feeling. I never liked, okay.
Yeah. I'd like to point out that in section 11.11,
Okay.
What page?
page 11 of 12,
Oh, page, okay, sorry.
and so it's section 11.11.
Uh-huh.
Staff put in the change, but you didn't indicate what was crossed out, what was left out. And I think it's significant. So, the part that was left out was of the electors qualified to vote. Because what we changed is from the electors qualified to vote to the registered voters who voted in the last regular election. And just so that they don't think that that's the only change.
Is everyone okay if I get a sandwich and
Yes.
can I get someone? I'm gonna get up. Are you sure? Oh, to make me feel bad, that's on y'all. Y'all could just stare at me.
I was
my
gonna ask
sandwich.
you, is there a cookie in there? Because I might reach for a cookie.
There is not a cookie, right?
Oh,
Give it to
why
you.
not? See, I do miss the Chick-fil-A, in all seriousness.
Right? I saw downstairs and go, woo!
I'm kidding. Henry,
Does
you
that make
meant-
sense?
You meant the
Absolutely.
change was.
Yes.
Because that was the
okay.
intent, right, for it to be the bigger number? Because that's a bigger number.
No, not to be. Because, so what happened was, so the way it reads is how the charter used to read, right? So the.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the charter, 10 years ago, I'm making up the date because I can't remember when the last charter reform occurred. It said 10% of registered voters who voted in the last regular municipal election. Then a petition was had, and enough people signed the petition to put something on the ballot, and it ticked certain people off. So they changed it to make it more difficult.
Because that was Roque, remember?
Yeah,
And he doesn't think that was
he
part
said
of
it
it. Now,
himself. He said
I
it
can see the error
himself,
of my ways.
and he said, I saw that this was some, but it was basically upset that the citizens had come together and pulled something off that the citizens had never pulled off in the entire history of Laredo.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It was a big deal. So now we're just gonna make it impossible for this to happen again. And so then
Ugh,
he
that's
said,
horrible.
and so then he said, we should go back to how it was. But I just thought that the council should see that.
I agree. I agree. I don't know why it's not.
No. Yeah, you're right. There's desktop.
So, I'm seeing that the districts I'm seeing the other significant section being municipal court. I'm seeing another significant change being mayor being able to vote.
Municipal was a big deal, guys. That's
Yeah, I agree.
2 places now. We talked about that now.
Isn't it one?
Right
Creation
now,
of one?
right now you're just one. So you
Right,
have-
but it's creating an additional.
Yes,
one.
yes.
Right.
So
And when
in
you say 2
theory-
places, there'll be 2 judges, you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
You've now divided up the power there.
Yeah.
There's a need for it. I see it.
I think that another significant change is the 5% proceed, percent of net property taxes be used for paving. I thought that was a good, significant change there.
Or to the comp plan.
I'm sorry?
Or to the comp plan.
Oh, right, exactly. And then the provisions maybe also put in by, under the ethics section as recommended by Ms. Hale. So we're looking at 6, a lot of changes, but I mean 6 that come to mind that are noteworthy that we highlight at the presentation maybe. People would comment on.
Now, my new knee jerk, I have problems with that one, the mandatory paving.
You do?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Is this devil's advocacy?
Yes, all the time. Right now, when you don't
think this
have,
one's for
you
a
can hit
sandwich.
utility to do stuff and have them, even though technically they're not supposed to pay, but they do have the equipment and you have them do stuff like that. Now, you're gonna force me, Jack, to be creative. What is paving? I think clearing parkland is paving, and that's now, because I'm gonna morph it into, man, you're playing with my wallet. I don't like when you play with my wallet.
Yeah, understood.
But the intent of ours, what was the intent? Just to force that there is always infrastructure being put in, or?
Well, I
This
think
was
like,
from Roque.
this is
Yeah,
from
that's
like the
what's
very
wrong.
first, I think it was like back in February. And I think the thinking behind taking a portion of property tax and a portion of excess funds to go into infrastructure is the fact that the city goes into so much debt already to do basic infrastructure and maintenance.
I'm right, devil's advocate. Tanya, we also get tons of federal money just for that infrastructure, so why should we be paying for it? I get millions for runways here, I get millions for the highway, and that was part of the deal. You want to hit the feds to come do something. Hey, you all benefit by I-35 as much as we do here. Let's first be honest, we're a port of entry. So you guys should pay for that. And then the 18-wheelers are chewing up the street, so we have to put concrete, not asphalt. What's wrong with you guys? It's 40,000 ton vehicles there. That's a federal issue right there, my friend. That's interstate commerce, where I come from.
Is it safe to say that this amount is, and this is a question to city staff, is it safe to say that this amount is already used for that?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure.
So,
I'll put it this way, I'm gonna tell you yes, Henry, because I spend on other stuff.
the reason I make this point is that that becomes a reason saying that the point of this one here in the charter and being the #1 port in the United States, we're setting at least a minimum standard of what needs to be. If the city, for whatever reason, has to spend on other things, we need at least a minimum of that much to be spent on street projects.
And Henry, I'm going to spend it. I'm going to color other stuff and call it infrastructure. I'm very creative with the way I hit my stuff. My Parks and Rec do paving too, because I put a walking trail, and that is paving. So
Right, but weren't
good
they
luck with
careful
that.
about how they used it?
And the reason I'm being like this, Henry, because what's the ill we're trying to fix? And I'm telling you, That's not a fix. I could get past that one.
Yeah. Well, all the more reason Commissioner Delgado will have to speak on the issue.
I'm trying to remember what
Prompted him.
Commissioner
Okay.
Vela.
Oh, Delgado, I said. why
Yeah,
did I
no,
say
but
that?
we knew what you meant, Henry. Don't worry about it.
Is there a Roque Delgado?
He,
No,
No.
well, not that I know.
maybe in San
There's something-
Antonio, Henry,
maybe out
not
there.
here.
San Antonio. In my
Somewhere out there.
a parallel universe. Roque No, yeah, the Delgados. You remember the Delgados?
But I don't know if it was
No.
Roque.
Yeah.
Sergio Delgado, he was the appraisal district director. Who's another
I'm going back to high school.
Oh, okay.
There's a Roque Delgado.
It never leaves you. I wanna say there was also like a comparison or a tie-in that was made to the amount of the budget that goes towards public safety and how that is a significantly even bigger percentage, I think, than what we get from property taxes. But I don't wanna just throw out numbers without knowing them.
More than half of our budget is police and fire. Over 50, right there. And about 55 if I had to throw you a weird number. And then everything else gets distributed after that. And again, devil's advocate, you're not paying me for the 1,000 Border Patrol agents I put here, and we get those free boots in the ground, and what else do we
Yeah.
get thrown in federally?
Yeah, the state people that are here.
Yeah, but you're the point of the spear. This is where the drugs come in. What are you talking about?
No, but you're going to your point.
I agree with you. I get a little carried away. I love being devil advocate, even against myself. So, Henry, that's how bad it is. No, we're lucky to have them. The first responders on accidents, you're gonna have a EMS that's Border Patrol, chances are. Thank God they're out there. For the cliffs, getting people out, they're amazing. You talk to the sheriffs, the first responder for backup, they'll go, yeah, my partner's on the other side of the county. That's the size of Connecticut. There'll be a Border Patrol that'll go, okay, we're gonna back you up on that stop.
Yep.
Yeah, we're lucky on that. Politics is the division of power. If we all agree on that, money is a major source of power. So now you're limiting my access to it. I'm going to spend, I don't like that, Henry. So how do you sell that one? I think you were going towards that, and you're correct, Henry. But don't worry about it. You already have it covered. You already spend more than that. This is a minimum. You guys break past that all the time. We're not break checking you. Far from it. You're already way past that.
But
Can you all ever see a time it's less than 10% of your? That's how I would sell that.
although I think he brought it up for a different reason, and I can't recall what that reason was.
He did.
Because it seems too easy.
This right now, as you all remember, he was mad. He was also saying you have to spend 2 hours with internal auditor. I'm the only guy that ever met with him in city council. We should mandate that too. You're going, okay, I'm gonna force you to sit with Mr. Maldonado, Henry. You don't have to listen to a thing, Mr. Maldonado. I'm gonna be on Facebook. I just have to kill my 2 hours, Mr. Maldonado. You could say whatever you want to. So that doesn't really, it's very paternalistic. This one, if I had to sell it, I would say it's that it's the opposite. You're looking at it wrong. We already spend way over 10%. And you know what it is. This is a minimum. If somehow we found ourselves with so much that it's not, it mandates that we put 10%.
Yes.
But he's going to sell that one. That's on him. If I had a choice.
Well, let's put it this way. He sold me on it when I heard him speaking about it.
Yeah.
I remember coming out of the meeting thinking, oh, that was very good. I just wish I could remember what I thought was very good.
He had passion when he sold it. I'll give him that.
Tanya, anything else?
Trying to think of like what should be the easy sells, right? So the comprehensive plan being
Right.
updated no later than every 5 years. I think that should be a relatively easy sell. We should all have the comp plan more top of mind
Right.
than not. Oh, and then there was also the one about the lapse on appropriations, that we want to lower the number of years that appropriations can be deemed abandoned from 5 to 3, because if a project has been abandoned for more than 3 years, then why there's no accountability in waiting 5 years for a project to die.
I think the last two you mentioned almost could be mentioned by one person, putting the ones that we did were easy issues, so to speak.
Also the budget workshops, the monthly budget workshops during the formulation process.
Tanya, I'm dying to know, which is your favorite? I could just give you one. I'm not gonna give you them all, Tanya. You could only pick one. Which of those babies do you like? You could only have one.
I think what's meaningful to me is
Yes. To you.
what I care about as a
Yes.
taxpayer is
Yes.
that we are not going into unnecessary debt. So I think capping discretionary funds at $1 million per year seems reasonable. Right now, it's twice as that. Right? It's almost $2 million per year.
Do you remember when Roque was talking about it and what he said wasn't necessarily wrong? The big fear is those 20-year bonds, and we destroyed the equipment in 3 years. Where do you think the next dumpsters are coming from? Or, you're not factoring that in. It's like the credit card in college. Yeah, that first month's gonna be so much fun. Next month, how are you gonna pay it and eat? You gotta now pin yourself in a weird position. Yes, sir. And you need growth, but sometimes can you sustain those? It's like an empire, the Roman. You have to keep conquering to sustain 258 days of circus. Yes, sir. Henry, you were going to say something.
I think you answered.
Ooh.
You answered the question
Want to hear
that we were discussing on that 5%, because Roque's comments were related to using bond money for the pavement of streets, and how when you're using bond money for the pavement of streets and you have a 30-year bond and the streets are already destroyed after 10 years, then you're going into debt for, going into debt for something that's not going to last 30 years, which was the focus of saying 5% of the net property tax, not that the total budget's proceeds were going to paving, because budget has debt money, plus all monies that come in is what we have to play with as a budget. But he's saying of the property proceeds that come in. We can't use the we can't say we'll be using bond money for paving only. Because
Yeah, he was trying to limit it to
Five.
what our tax assessor is collecting for the city and then saying,
no, he's trying to say the source of paving, the source of the funds for paving, right?
yes.
At least 5%. At the 5% has to be property taxes.
Yes, so that's why he was tying it to that, saying, because you're not gonna borrow for it.
Right. That you won't be borrowing.
Right.
And I think, you know, when you were talking about what you were saying about debt and everything, it reminded me, I think that's what his focus was. So that the city, at the very least, is not doing 100% of paving projects with bond money. Does that make sense? I'm starting to remember the conversation a little bit.
Bond money was super sexy, guys. Was it right after? It was like in 2000. No, it had to have been after the World Trade. Because what you were doing is, we had some bailout where we had to show we were turning shovels, and then the government would go, okay, we got it. We're gonna pay up the difference. You can't. And we did a lot of debt for that. But it really made sense. Like, in other words, Henry, I would put all this project, I only have 100,000, but I'm gonna spread it to the districts, make sure there's shovels there, because the feds were gonna come and absorb all that. Say, you know what, we want to keep everybody working. And I had to also, I remember Henry was there, so no, this has to be more. Was it during pandemic? No. So it was before Carlos was there still, video. So it's gotta be 2010 in that area. But that was actually then, it made sense to do stuff like that. It was like, Henry, you do an application at the bank for a loan, but don't worry, it's gonna be paid by someone else. You just need to do the first processing fee. Like, just put the application in. Don't worry about the monthly or whatever. Jack's gonna pick up the, oh yeah, let me sign up immediately for that. That became a hurry.
And we don't have those kinds of loans, just for the record.
Ah, Henry.
That's right, the bank will explain the
And that's
difference
why-
between government and the private sector.
And that's why I bank at Buffalo Head Pawn Shops. I'm joking. I keep it local. Yeah, that's where I question especially with the water utility one. Yeah, no. Leave that one to them to say there could be emergencies. There are emergencies that are starting to come up. Or
Yeah.
did you share with me Mexico City? That blew my mind. Or I heard it yesterday where they're saying they're out of water. They're paying. It's like, wow.
In Mexico City.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know. That's horrible. I couldn't even imagine what that must be like. That's why that's gold. The oil's cheap. You know, water's precious.
Yep.
That's non-negotiable. I wish we would have said a little prayer for Andrew. This can't be good. If he was with an attorney for this is never good when you're an attorney that late at night. Nothing good happens in an attorney's office after hours.
From whose point of view?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're right, Daniel. You're right. Fuck yeah, Andrew. If you ask me, the big one, my personal favorite, Tanya, I really like section 1110, power of referendum. That's a big deal. That really is. Only municipalities or big government can afford elections. They're crazy expensive, whatever. But if you could give the access to someone to put in a referendum, yay or nay, and I think a lot of times the voters will speak, and then that takes the power away from you. They told you, this is what we need for you to do. You know, you'll have to do that. That's a big deal right there. And I bet you that one's going to be a non-issue, but that really is a big, big deal.
Who recommended this?
City Attorney's Office. But we were talking about it because we were saying, how do we get that? What if we wanted to present the Port Authority? Wait a minute, if you want to do something like that, right now you don't have it, you need this. This gave you access to that. And we'll give access to a lot of people with a lot of things.
Sorry.
So,
No.
This is Alejandro Labrada.
Yes, sir. I know who this gentleman is. Beautiful place here.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing?
Thank you so
Sorry,
much
I'm
for.
sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you for lending. It's gorgeous.
Anytime.
Woo,
I just thought
party.
I can get
Have
up
a
and stand
quince.
up my dinner.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
I'm going home for my dinner. Thank you. Whatever you need.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You got the
Alejandro.
free part of the free stickers and
Yes,
all free
thank
parking.
you.
And I'm going to Legion, so I'm gonna 10 days. Vámonos. I'm joking, Alejandro. I can't leave. I'm stuck in town. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Alejandro.
you.
Thank you, sir.
so my memory is fading. So can you discuss the power of referendum and what
How did this come in?
what was there before? And I see what was there before, the small black, the letters in black, but
So it couldn't be presented before. They're up against
what could it
a
be?
petition like to make a port authority. You know what? Let's now put it to the voters. We want to hear. We don't have a place to put. This opens the door where now it could be put. And it is expensive, but if you piggyback it on elections, it's nothing when you piggyback. But we don't. And when I say we, just the mere mortals don't have access to. I want to put it out there. How do people feel about this? You know?
So how do you sell it to me? I'm the council member.
This is your access to get feedback from the voters. You've been denied access to, now you could put a referendum and it makes it clear and it speaks to all of city council at one time. This is a channel we've never had before. Now we could communicate. We can now have more dialogue between the constituents and the electorate. Remember, or it could be the opposite. Do not do that. Do not build a ski lodge in Laredo border. Do not, I don't care that everyone's on board. Do not spend our money on that.
Would you use the example of a
Port
port
Authority?
authority?
Would I?
That may be the perfect example to use there, where you would say, for example, there's been talk about a port authority, but where does the public stand on this issue and everything? This enables you to get a feel for the public's opinion on the subject, so that the council can take action based on it, right?
That's a good example. You can use that, of course.
Because it's the staging concept from when you see HGTV and the empty house versus the staged house. I see the words there, but
Right.
I'm not understanding how that works. And you use an example, and an example that's a meaningful example, such as the Port Authority. Then I begin to say, so I can't do that now? And the
Yeah.
answer is no,
No.
you can't.
No, there isn't anything in the code that allows you. This is what now gives you that power to get that clarity.
And you say that.
I would.
You would have to pay a consultant to do a survey for you otherwise, but this
Yeah.
is a direct way. Just
This is a
use it.
direct way of
And you don't have to pay
petitioning
anybody.
the citizens during a cycle, during a voting cycle, to collect their thoughts on a subject, such as a Port Authority.
Personally, I'm gonna be a little maybe offended because, Henry, I have a very intimate relationship with every one of my
With my
constituents.
constituents.
How dare you think I need, But the truth of the matter is, this is where you get that big consensus talking about, yeah, no, now's not the time to build your ski lodge, where we really need to concentrate on something else. And that's a good thing.
And is this modeled after something? Was this found in another city charter or something to that effect?
This was drafted by Zone. I'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know exactly where.
Because that's another, I asked that
I was
question.
gonna ask you, does it
because-
make a difference if
Yeah.
it comes from?
Because when you use examples of this is not unlike a city charters that you might find, unlike the language found in in X, Y, and Z city charter.
I guarantee you the voters are gonna love it.
The council like.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I'm thinking of how you sell it to them
Yeah.
to put it
Yeah.
on the
The voters will never see it unless council likes it.
yeah.
Yeah. God, sell it like that. That's a communication tool. This is an opportunity for you to speak with the voters, for the voters to speak back too. Now you'll have clarity. Hablando se entiende. That's what this is. I feel sorry for Tanya. We ate her dinner. We just let her take notes. Anything else then? We're at page 12 then.
Yeah. I had my questions answered. Thank you.
The Ethics Commission, that was from,
Ms. Hale.
yes, she wanted that.
And she took that from the Dallas
Mhm.
charter.
And she was looking for more bite. Okay, Tanya, you're gonna sell it. How would you give me? Come on, I love the way you market stuff. How would you market that one? Because what you're really saying is, look, you all took the time to make an ethics commission, but unless it could, have some sort of power for it to mean anything, it's so they don't waste time. We want not just.
Yeah, well, I think this just gives the ability for the commission to act as a balance to that power, right? We're also equally in earlier parts of the charter, we're providing more opportunities for council to really be
investigate
able
and-
to use that power of policing onto their peers and being able to also equally give the ability for the ethics commission to not have to wait around for the next charter revision, right? To be
Yeah.
able to get more clarity on the parameters of what is off limits or not to them. This language is broad enough that already makes that motion for them to take action as they deem fit.
Yep.
Yeah. Jack, did this ever come on in the classroom? Did you ever talk to them about this?
Yes, I have a section in my Texas state politics class where we talk about local government.
Nice.
And we talk about, in fact, in my last class, I showed them, I provided them a link to the city charter and we talked about some.
What is feeling? What do the young minds have to say? What is that?
Well,
Sir, is this on the final?
I mean, yeah, no, that's right. That's right. That was
That was the board
that was-
one. Okay, never mind then. Okay. Oh, yeah.
No, really, that is the overriding concern, but there was no collective sentiment, really. I think they were surprised to know that Laredo had a city charter, you know.
Really?
Yeah, that's something of which
You
they're
mean that
unaware.
chaos has rules? Yeah, it does, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know how powerful they are? They're a weird demographic that shows up, nobody knows, untapped.
Yeah, I tried to explain to them that their power as a voter is more than they're aware, and
Excellent.
invite them to participate because
Register, make sure.
you know, young people typically abstain from.
Or they,
political-
tell them they
from
can't
voting.
complain, one of the two.
Yeah.
Make a difference, go vote, go on swinging, get involved.
There are certain things that are possible at the level of the city that aren't possible at the state, like a recall election, for example, that is outlawed by the Texas Constitution at the state level. No state level politicians are subject to
Callback.
recall. But in a home rule city like Laredo, you know, that's one of the things that we can have in our constitution. So that's cool. It's cool. It's neat to know things like that.
Absolutely. If you're going to live in this city, it's important that the ground rules are understood, everyone's abiding by it, and is everyone participating? You don't participate, I can cut you out, Jack.
Right. I don't have to acknowledge your needs or your views.
Exactly, and more for me. Great, great, more for me.
And in my mind,
Yes, sir.
and I'm sorry, I'm gonna.
No, Henry, please.
But in my mind, that becomes easier when you represent fewer people and yet have the voice and the power to say no to something. When fewer people have brought you to power,
Yeah.
because I just want to get in the way.
Yeah, you got a tyranny of the minority right there. You got a small group with incredible power.
Although I've always liked the saying, you know, the tyranny of the minority. Although I don't know if I used it in this case, I might offend certain people. You know, if you used it as an argument,
Yeah, because it
my
sounds.
are you talking about me?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. Why were you looking at me when you said that,
Yeah.
Henry? Yeah.
But that's exactly what happens, you know, when too few people elect. You know, it's also, I mean, that's also the result of apathy in terms of voter turnout.
If a city has clear vision, and it's amazing how it can grow, what it can do. And if you want to see waste to, it's amazing how, and you'll see it where the city does stuff that the private sector, it's not even close, you know. A business would not put up with that or do that, or, and you're always talking about this is taxpayer money. That's sacred funds. It's supposed to be more than your own money in your wallet. It's like, yeah, this is the communities have to guard that one even more than me. I could go to Amazon, I'm okay. But yeah.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. And this then now gets, I think, Henry, you're more accountable.
Who's more accountable?
Now, if you do these changes,
Okay.
there's going to be more, now you're held to that standard. It's harder to do things in the dark. I'd like to do things in the dark, you know, but there's a reason I'm doing it like that.
Yeah.
Because in light of day, it's a hard sell. Those have to be private negotiations at night or whatever, and that's what you're trying to do, put light on stuff. And I think we're doing a very good job about this, and our intent is not to hurt anyone at all. It's just we're trying to enable that.
Well, you want the system to work well, and you want it to be responsive.
Absolutely.
Forward thinking.
Yeah.
How long have you been in town, Jack?
Since 2015, so
That's a good
almost 10
run.
years.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely.
I married local, so I'm likely to stay even longer.
Ah, I didn't know that. Oh, smart man. I did too, but I also feel so it worked out. I think it would be a hard sell. I think if I had not married local to sell, it would have been a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
That's cool, Jack. I'm glad. I wish you would have been here before that. It was nicer across. Remember those times? They were magic.
Before the turn of the century.
Yeah.
That sounds so
Who
horrible.
knew? It was paradise.
It was paradise in
The hippodromo.
70s and the 80s.
You could place bets, have great dinner, get your car washed, bridge, go and come and pick up a cheap bottle.
Going back and
$20.
forth. You could
That's
go.
awesome.
I remember, being on, being in Nuevo Laredo, someone saying, "Oh my God, I need to go home." Okay, I'm just gonna go drop so and so off, vroom, zoom across the border, and
And zoom
zoom
back.
back to the club,
Yeah.
and no big deal. No big deal.
Absolutely.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Oh, Jack, it was
That it used to be
incredible.
different.
It was something else. And we did it without cell phones, remember? How did we know the bodies that were Victoria? We knew it. For the morning, we're all at, whatever. Excellent. It was done. I don't know how, telepathically maybe? There was no Facebook. Thank God, there was no videos, nothing.
Thank God, yes.
That's God.
That's all I could say is
Yeah.
thank God on that
bless.
part.
Good luck, generation coming up. Yeah, iCloud, whatever.
Yeah.
Ah, that's funny.
They apparently don't. It's not they don't care. They don't have that set. The definition of privacy is different for the generation than for us. I ask often, but they can see everything, or they see everything. Yeah, and the answers.
Yes.
And so what?
Yeah, what's wrong with
And
you?
what's
Why?
wrong
Yeah.
with-
Why are you? Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Henry, you couldn't make a phone call. Remember after 9, if you called a friend, you might get a. What kind of hours are these? They'll be calling you.
Why are you calling?
Yes, exactly. Oh, shit,
Well,
sorry,
because
sorry,
what-
Mr. Suleiman.
Because you were not calling a cell phone.
Yeah.
You were calling the only
The
phone in the
house phone,
house.
yeah.
And if it was ringing after 10, a certain person answered it.
Yeah, Dad
Your friend could try. I could try to race to the phone.
Yeah, I know.
But it was like,
Yeah, exactly.
mom or dad with it.
Yeah, Mr. Suleiman, good evening.
Who's this? Why are you calling at this hour?
Eso de esas horas,
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds. It sounds like such a different time.
To say, I call my kids on the cell phone in the house.
In the house.
Come to the bed. Yeah, you talk to you. That's where there is no group phone. Everyone has it, so you use it like a dinner cup. Yes, no, now.
That's funny.
Yeah, I used the word rotary phone the other day with an employee, and they could not tie their mind around.
Is that an
What do you mean,
organization?
what do you mean rotary? Yeah.
Did you do at least this noise for them?
The word actually, I think even the word did not exist
Yeah.
in their rotary and phone didn't go together. Yeah. Well, I don't know if anybody has anything else. I appreciate staff.
I do
patience.
stain, but we don't keep anymore. Is everyone okay with?
Yeah.
You want to make a motion?
Well,
Adjourn?
I think that's an action, right?
It is
I don't-
an action.
I don't think we
Can't
can
take
take
any
that.
So we just read into the record.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If everyone is comfortable with this,
I just have one question.
yes, Mario,
Yeah.
please.
You all indicate that you all want to meet before the council meeting?
Yes.
So
You
that-
put on notice so you can post it
Yes,
72
because we
before
need
that.
to post in case you all have a quorum.
Right. Well, yeah.
So-
You know where the department heads downstairs meet? Can
Yes.
we meet there, Mario, or do you think the department heads are taking, so we go upstairs to the
Okay,
third in that one?
Let me do this. Let me look for a location, because I know that
Ándale.
department heads do meet there before the council meeting. Because now, let me see, it's gonna be the first meeting, the mayor has recognitions, so they start at about 4 o'clock. But now they're gonna start around 4:30 recognitions.
Okay.
So the department directors, as they're arriving, they do go to the first floor conference.
Yeah, they stay
Yeah.
close by.
So let me look
What
for.
about the third floor?
Well, I need to make sure that it's not
Likely.
occupied or
Right.
scheduled, yes. Where else can we?
Legal library.
Oh, legal library, okay.
That's nice, your
Yeah.
conference, you'll
Yeah, that's
open
right,
up
I forgot
that.
about
that
your
conference.
conference.
That works.
We'll have something.
Thank you, Mario.
Good,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
need a.
So,
two
around what
cameras.
time?
So ceremonial begins at 5:30?
No, they start around 4:30.
Okay, so the official begins at 5:30.
5:30, yes, the official meeting.
So then 4:30,
Yeah.
just to be
Okay,
safe.
4:30, okay.
And will we be able to have somebody tape it, or they're gonna be busy downstairs?
Yeah, because it becomes public record that has to be stored someplace.
¿Se puede no?
We'll just make the request. We'll be around
Okay.
for recording the. city
We'll make it
council
happen.
and recognition.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. What's that?
It's gonna be like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yes.
We're okay?
very good, yes.
All right. For the record, it's 7:30. The Charter Review Commission meeting is adjourned. No, it has adjourned.
Because we
It's
never
just
had a
over.
meeting. Yes.
End of meeting.
Ended.
Thank you, yes.